The President. We continue with the motion debate on actively exploring Hong Kong's new economic growth points. Mr. Ronald Chan. Good morning, Mr. President. Hong Kong has been promoting the local economic development through diversified industries development. The financial industry is our traditional industry. There have been a lot of different new financial products to provide economic impetus, and this will enhance the overall competitiveness of Hong Kong. I thank Ms. Eunice Yung for moving this motion so that we will add vitality to the local economy. In the past decade or so, we have seen the advent of niche technologies. Now we have the virtual asset trading platform regulatory regime, which has successfully reduced the risks of the transaction of VAs. And now we have the stablecoins issue regulatory system as well. Now we can develop the transactions of virtual assets, and we also see banks rolling out tokenized funds in gold markets. The Hong Kong Monetary Authority has also launched relevant measures. We hope that there will be tokenization of different investment tools in relation to real estate, insurance, and so on. There are more frequent transactions between Hong Kong and the Middle East. We need to foster a business environment favorable for Muslims in the world. We need to make it convenient for Muslims to partake in our business environment. The ASEAN sector or the ASEAN segment has more mature market structure and regulatory regime in relation to Muslim financing. We need to draw reference from them in order to foster a business environment favorable for this area. It was floated as early as in 2007, and in 2014, 15, and 17, there were 3 rounds of Muslim bonds, and in 2023 and 2024, there were also relevant ETFs launched by Hong Kong and Saudi Arabia together. However, in other areas, we haven't seen quite significant or obvious results. On the other hand, the policy address last year mentioned the building of a study in Hong Kong brand. Quite a lot of schools in Hong Kong are EMIs. DSE is internationally recognized as well. Probably the administration could consider extending the local brand of studying in Hong Kong to secondary school students as well. We need to reduce the pressure on the government to provide student hostels. Ms. Maggie Chan mentioned the pet economy. I've been keeping a cat for several decades, and I can indeed see the consumption pattern changes. Quite a lot of wedded couples would rather keep a pet than have a child. Pet grooming, pet healthcare, or even arranging for the other arrangements or living arrangements for pets when they grow old. The pet economy is similar to the silver hair economy. As long as we rack our brains, I believe this will be a new economic growth point. Finance is the lifeblood of local economy. We need to keep innovating in this sector. This will not only provide security for the industry, but this will also contribute to the development of other industries. We need to promote the synergized development of traditional industries and emerging industries. This is exactly how we can keep the momentum of the prosperity of Hong Kong. I speak in support of the motion as well as all the amendments. Thank you, President. Mr. Chan Kim-por. Thank you, President. Ms. Eunice Yung's motion is about consolidating the strengths of our traditional industries and actively identify and foster new drivers of economic growth. I'd like to focus on financial innovation in order to advance our status as an international financial center. We have ETF Connect scheme as well as other Connect schemes. This is the best example of our success under the principle of one country, two systems. We promote the flow of capital across the boundary. However, when it comes to commodity trading, there is still immense potential yet to be tapped. We need to actively and rigorously promote commodity trading and partner up with different mainland organizations. We need to develop the market of derivatives. This will attract more international and mainland capital to Hong Kong. This way, we can also help our country in actively participating in the global commodity market. This has a lot to do with global resource allocation. Hong Kong is an offshore renminbi business hub. We need to enrich the diversity of renminbi-denominated products. Under the closed-loop model, we need to allow more capital to be injected into the local capital market. We also need to incorporate the renminbi counter into the Hong Kong Stock Connect. This will enrich the diversity of derivatives in Hong Kong so that we can improve our standing on settlement, pricing, risk management, and so on. We need to go digital and allow transactions around the clock. This will enhance the efficiency of transaction settlement, and this will also help us to go digital. This is the trend that we move towards. We need to promote the full digitalization of the capital market. This way, we can achieve automation. This will also help us enhance operational efficiency. Hong Kong isn't just the platform for global investors, but this is also the platform for mainland capital to go global. We need to promote different derivatives such as REC, ETF, and so on, or REITs and ETF and so on. This will facilitate the management of risks as well as the allocation of resources. This is exactly how we can give full play to our principle of one country, two systems. We need to improve our tax regime, and we need to solve the problem in relation to other issues such as tax charged on equities. This is how we can improve our competitive edge. The global capital market is in the phase of changes. We need to consolidate our traditional strengths. In relation to tax regime and renminbi internationalization, as long as we're on the right track, we can definitely continue to cement our status around the world. This will help us to continue with our strategy of financial innovation. Thank you, President. Mr. Jeffrey Lam. Thank you, President. Geopolitics is very complicated and complex nowadays. There are tariff policies, trade protection. These policies keep changing every day. We have the strength of connection with the world, and we also enjoy strong support of our country. We need to embrace changes, adapt to them, and we also need to seek them on their own initiative. We need to consolidate our traditional strengths, but we also need to develop emerging markets. We need to attract investments and businesses in order to develop our economy in a diversified manner. Attracting business and investments has a lot to do with developing our diversified economy. We need to change our mentality or mindset in order to enhance our competitiveness. While the chief executive made visits to a lot of Middle East market as well as ASEAN markets. There has been significant publicity covering new energy, AI manufacturing, or advanced manufacturing industries and so on. This will bring some 50 billion of investment to Hong Kong, and this will also create 20,000 jobs in Hong Kong. This shows a lot of international enterprises want to invest in Hong Kong. This will not only create new economic growth points for Hong Kong, and this is also important and strategic to Hong Kong. However, land in Hong Kong is very expensive. The rents are very high. The investment cost is very high as well. In contrast, our neighboring regions attract foreign investments with low rents and low tax. That's why we need to focus on long-term development of our investment projects. This is how we can enhance our competitiveness. We need to continue to develop new emerging markets, say health science, technology, aviation sector, green industries, and so on. We need to attract investors to come to Hong Kong and attract enterprises to set up operations in Hong Kong. Businessmen always say that they need to keep investing in order to reap greater benefits or greater profits. We cannot stay myopic. We need to expedite local industrial development to create new economic growth points. It is worth giving goodies or concessions to overseas investors. We need to identify and foster new drivers of economic growth. In Singapore, there is a technological city. This is exactly one of the examples we may draw reference from. A lot of people say that the public coffers isn't doing well and we need to tighten our belt. But at the same time, if we want to boost the economy, we need to save costs, but at the same time, we need to generate more streams of revenue. We cannot afford to miss out on opportunities. We cannot wait until we have profits before we start building infrastructures. If we want to change, it takes courage. Otherwise, we will miss out on a lot of opportunities. We need to seek breakthroughs. We indeed need to stay bold. We need to make reforms. We need to try. Otherwise, we will miss out on a lot of different opportunities. That is exactly how we can continue to move forward, attract investments and enterprises. We cannot avoid making mistakes by doing nothing. I look forward to more directions from the Chief Executive. Thank you.
Mr. Chen Xiuhong. Thank you, President. I speak in support of Ms. Eunice Yong's motion on actively exploring Hong Kong's new economic growth points, as well as the amendments made by other members. According to information, in the first quarter of this year, we see stable economic growth. Local GDP has increased by 3.1% in the first quarter compared to the last quarter. We see an increase of 5 to 8%, and quarterly GDP also increased by 7 to 9%. However, we still see challenges around the world. We have to reinforce our traditional sectors, and at the same time, we have to identify new economic growth points to develop our new industries to ensure economic growth. In year 2024-25, our country's work report for 2 years in a row state that we have to develop low-altitude economy as a new economic driver. The CE in his 2024 policy address also mentions about the development of low-altitude economy. A working group on low-altitude economy has been set up. It is led by the Deputy Financial Secretary. It will formulate priorities as well as policy initiatives to push for LAE development. Morgan Stanley earlier released an urban air mobility study report. It is expected that eVTOL technology by 2050 the market will reach 90 trillion US dollars. LAE brings about economic benefits to Hong Kong and the Greater Bay Area, and we cannot neglect the potential of the market. We have a robust legal system. We can play the roles as super connector and super value adder. We can bring mainland enterprises to the global world. Hong Kong should work with the GBA. We should come up with a low altitude management system. There should be a digital airspace management platform. We should make use of data as well as our advantages to come up with a management standard for managing low altitude airspace. This will help our national standards as well as the mainland enterprises to go global. We need both soft and hard infrastructure and software. To build infrastructure, we need money. Apart from capital and land support from the government, we can learn from the public-private partnership model in the mainland. We should have low Earth orbit satellites as well as the relevant software and hardware to create synergy. This will allow us to attract more investment capital, and this will help inject impetus to the growth of LAE. Another economic growth point in Hong Kong is hydrogen economy. With the gas safety ordinance being implemented, we can align our standards with the international standards. According to the development report released in 2025 by our country, this year marks an important year for the transformation of hydrogen economy. I suggest that Hong Kong work with the GBA. We should build together an energy industrial chain. There should be hydrogen fueling facilities. We should come up with our own certification and testing standards that is recognized around the world. There should also be a hydrogen testing base in Hong Kong so that we can complement with the mainland cities. We lack the conditions to produce hydrogen. However, we need a set of standards to certify a green hydrogen. And we need to learn about the process of transforming hydrogen to green hydrogen. We can make use of blockchain technology to trace the entire process to make sure that the entire production chain sees the production of hydrogen. We should have a third party for the certification, and we can also build a green tech or green finance. This way, we can promote ourselves as a demonstration base for hydrogen. I so submit. Thank you. Mrs. Regina Ip. I thank Ms. Eunice Yung for moving this motion on actively exploring Hong Kong's new economic growth points. This allows us to each express our views so that we can come up with our ideas on how to inject new impetus to our economy. Just as Mr. Chen Shu-hong said, low-altitude economy is emphasized by our country. Our country's China Space Administration believes that by 2023, the low-altitude economy already reaches 500 RMB, and by 2030, it can reach 2 trillion RMB. However, no one has mentioned that we have to rely on our country's aerospace as well as the global positioning satellite system in order for LAE to work. This GPS system developed by our country, that is Beidou, BTS GPS system, has already surpassed the GPS system developed by the Defense Department of the US, and it keeps improving. This kind of navigation system provides PNT services, that is positioning, navigation, and timing. And such system allows us to develop LAE. One non-profit organization called Space Foundation estimates that in 2023 the space economy has already reached $570 billion and by 2040 the space economy can reach $2 trillion. Our country has been developing new satellite systems. Apart from satellites from Earth orbit, we also have been developing low Earth orbit satellite system. There is a system called Guowang. Foreign media reported that our country has been developing this kind of satellite system. This past Sunday, on the 27th of July, a new batch of satellites were sent, and there have been about 40 low Earth orbit satellites that are in operation. These satellites have a better coverage. Our satellites from our country are as small as a suitcase, and these can compete with the ones in the US. So there is great potential for us to develop our aerospace industry. Since 2014, our country has opened up its aerospace market to enterprises in the mainland to take part in the market. One well-known enterprise shot the rocket to the space, and another enterprise made use of Zhuque 2, and it made use of a kind of liquid energy. There is another Chengdu aerospace enterprise is making an application to go listed. So we have to seize the business opportunities. We should offer services to these enterprises. We can help them to get listed. We can provide legal services to them. We should amend our space ordinance, which was enacted in 1997. We can help enterprises to develop the space. We can also protect their IP. We should also help Belt and Road countries to enter into the mainland market. We should learn from Luxembourg and roll out tax concessions and attract airline companies or aerospace companies around the world to come to Hong Kong. Thank you. Mr. Adrian Ho. I speak in support of Ms. Eunice Yong's motion. To cope with the continuous changes in the global economics landscape, I agree that we have to work harder to reinforce our traditional sectors. We should leverage on our advantages of having the support of our motherland and being closely connected to the world. We should actively attract enterprises and investment to cement our status as an international financial center. We have to upgrade our brand. We have to be innovative to catch up with the trend and understand the needs of global tourists and travelers. I will focus on the potential of our cultural and sports industries. In the 2024 budget, it is mentioned that we will develop high-quality arts and cultural industries. I am a fan of the movies as well as songs from the 80s and 90s, and I witnessed the birth of a lot of classic work. And these classic work is very popular among people from the world. AC Milan's consultant and a member of the team went to Tsim Sha Tsui to take pictures with the statue of Bruce Lee. And this shows that we have the conditions to promote our soft power and cultural and creative industries to bring about economic benefits. the Bruce Lee fan club is organizing an anniversary exhibition showing the collections of Bruce Lee. And there's also one exhibition that exhibits works related to Buddhism. And this is a private collection exhibition. I hope that the SAR government, while can talk to the relevant groups to help preserve artwork, so that artwork with long history as well as the classic work concerning songs as well as movies can be preserved and they can be appreciated by other people from other countries. I think we have to promote the innovative development of our film industry as well. A lot of films have won accolade around the world with the Film Development Fund as well as the Create Smart program. I hope that we can make use of these resources and to support our local film production teams and encourage them to produce more good work so that they can be exported overseas. Our ultimate goal should be to go global. Online streaming platforms are also very common. We should move with the times. For example, in terms of attracting enterprises and investments, can we have major online streaming platforms reserving quota for well-known works from Hong Kong? We should showcase our power and enhance our fame around the world. Lastly, I want to say that people in Hong Kong are very enthusiastic about sports. We have been paying attention to our athletes because they have achieved great results in the world, and they have the potential to bring about economic growth. A number of European soccer teams have come to Hong Kong to demonstrate their skills. In the qualifying matches between India and Hong Kong, well, the matches were very popular. In the national basketball competition, there were sales of relevant merchandises, for example, the products showcasing the athletes. I think this can be an economic growth point. Thank you.
Mr. Yang Wen-kit, I speak in support of Ms. Yung Hoi-yan's original motion. I think with new economic growth points, the best one we can go with right now is concert economy. It contributes greatly to GDP, and we have seen the mainland and Macau seizing the relevant opportunities, constructing new venues, and they have the ancillary facilities set down. They also provide facilitation arrangements for the organizers. For example, in Macau, they have good hotel packages that can allow for the performers to rehearse early on in the concert venues. You can see the great facilitation measures provided by Macau being quite well received. And we have also seen with that it comes with good box revenue. We have a number of people going to Macau, not only spending on concerts, but also spending on others in the village or in the resorts. They spend an amount of $5,000 to $6,000. It has greatly benefited Macau, and it is a new economic growth point of Macau. Compared to Macau, Hong Kong has great advantages. We have frequent flights compared to many major cities of mainland China. We have also seen prosperous developments of cultural activities in Hong Kong. And we have many performers first thinking about Hong Kong until they found out about Macau. If we have to be a concert paradise, we need to have the government provide more support. The famous performers are a brand, and they can generate billions of dollars in revenue, and in turn it will generate a further benefit of hundreds of tens of billions of dollars, because there will be other benefits to other industries. I suggest we should provide a green channel to concerts so that we can continue to take advantage of the great benefits of concerts. We can also have these concerts like carnivals so that we can generate other activities with that. We should also work with the tourism industry on that so that we can have other offers made, providing a greater experience and radiating the benefits of concerts to different parts of Hong Kong and to make people stay here for longer. We have already a 10,000 spectator and 50,000 spectator venues. We now need a mid-sized venue that can house 30 to 40,000 people. In 2019, the LCSD said we should redevelop the Hong Kong Stadium, and we should only have it house 8,000 to 9,000 spectators. The government said in last year's policy address they would review the plans to redevelop Hong Kong Stadium. With this opportunity, I think we should refer to the design of the high-tech sports park so that we can have a rooftop that can open and close, and that we can have a more flexible venue that can accommodate different numbers of spectators. However, we have also heard some complaints with ticketing platforms. For a 30,000 spectator concert, they would charge fees for $30,000, and if there's more spectators, it would be even more. They are just earning so much without doing much, really. So we need to lower the relevant charges so that it will not hurt our charm as a concert paradise. Regarding combating touting activities, we should have real name registration rather than making use of QR codes. There should also be a reporting mechanism so that consumers can make reports. With police and citizen cooperation, we should be able to combat such activities to maintain our reputation. I so submit. Mr. Vincent Ching. Thank you, President. I thank Mr. Hoi-yan for proposing the original motion, especially in relation to exploring new economic growth points. I am particularly concerned about the halal industry, the cultural and creative industries, and the sports industry. As some members said, I think with the sports industry, we want to house large sports competitions. I was there at the game of Liverpool, and there it was quite vibrant. Let me also declare I am a chairman of a relevant committee. We have a lot of M-Mark scheme activities last year. We have less this year, and we need to really review what criteria we are to adopt to regard an event as an M-Mark system event. We have the rugby sevens that have been quite popular over the years, and it is essentially a flagship event of Hong Kong, and we should try to develop it further by having more side activities for these events. And when you talk about the rugby sevens, you probably did not expect it to grow so big after many years. I think we should try to develop other less-known sports as well, such as paddleball, and that can, in a way, attract more people to the different sports. I think we can take advantage of the opportunities so that when people say watch fencing games, they do not only pay attention to the players but the game itself. We can also incorporate more tourism elements. We have some larger competitions that will promote in the GBA only, or they just don't do publicity altogether. In future, can we publicize the events in neighboring regions in Asia or even in different parts of the world so as to attract more visitors to Hong Kong? We also need to try to increase the number of spectators. We have good games, but if people aren't participating or aren't going to watch the games, there's no point. As for host economy, we should try to host more events and games in general. We have not done well because we have not done much in merchandise. When I went to see the Liverpool game, there were different merchandise. There were jerseys, stickers, water bottles. I actually want to buy a jersey of the Hong Kong team, but I don't think it's even manufactured. I think with merchandise, there will be a lot of cheering activities, and that will generate good vibes for the events. So we really need to do more as a host city. We shouldn't always host other organizers' events. We should have our own events. Lastly, for the Hong Kong Stadium, as some members mentioned this also, Mr. Kenneth Fogg had a written question yesterday. He asked about the cost for the project of the Hong Kong Stadium. And honestly, I think things look dire. It already cost $60 billion originally, and then you said you can lower some costs, but then there will be additional costs, so it may go over the original budget, and in the end that will be a loss. But I think Hong Kong Stadium is very important to us. I disagree with what other members said about demolishing the stadium altogether. I think we can use the stadium well. We have many of those playing sports that can only get small venues, and sports associations, they do not have a venue for their operations. Can we make use of the stadium to provide space for them or host the smaller tournaments there? I think this is what we can do. Due to time constraints, I cannot go on any longer. I think we've been doing well with the halal industry. We should try to do more to accommodate Muslim visitors. Thank you. Mr. Lai Tung Kwok. I speak in support of Ms. Hoi-yan's original motion. At a BRICS conference, President Xi said, "We have the rise of the global south, and this signifies a change in the circumstances in the world." President Xi also proposed different concepts such as the Belt and Road Initiative and a community with a shared future. We shouldn't rely on the West so much, and there, with other markets in mind, we have more options. And this has paved the way for the development of the global south in general. Hong Kong is not only the third largest international financial center in the world, we also have the responsibility to make contributions to the country and the global south to play the role of super connector. We should also leverage on our institutional advantages and professional strengths to create new economic growth points for the country. We have our unique advantages in the legal system and financial strengths that we have a mature platform for investors. We practice a common law system that is recognized by different parts of the world. We also have arbitration and mediation services, and with the establishment of Hong Kong IOMED, we should be able to go further. We have different professional services, strengths, and in accountancy, legal, and other professional services. We have a free capital economy, and that has helped us attract enterprises and investment that plan to make investments in China, mainland China in the end, and we have helped mainland companies go global. We need to create new economic growth points, not just for our benefit, but also for the benefit of global south. We should tap into the demands of the halal industry and the developments in green finance to attract more Middle Eastern sovereign funds and international capital to take part in the financing of projects in the global south. In turn, that will provide more diversified products, and that can consolidate our status as an international financial center. We should also try to make good use of our advantages in healthcare industry and pharmaceuticals, so that we can encourage development of different products and promote registration of such products in Hong Kong. There should also be mutual recognition and integration, so that we will no longer have over-reliance on Europe and the US. We should have professional services provided, legal and compliance, so that we can have a new regulatory regime, and that will increase the influence of China in general. We need to further develop ourselves and integrate into the development of the country, leveraging on our advantages in trade and finance, etc. And we should export to the world that we are actively rising with the country, and then we can be a standard setter.
Professor Priscilla Leung. Thank you, President. I speak in support of the motion today. Peace is a foundation of development. In the government work report of the two sessions, our country said that we have to deepen our reforms and collaboration with other countries, and we also need to better integrate into the national development. On the 24th of July, I invited Jeffrey, who is a very renowned economist in the world. We asked Jeffrey to share what he thinks about the global economic landscape. The global economic landscape is being reshaped. The economist said that we have a very precious role. He spent 15 minutes telling us that we should become the world's largest green financing center and financial innovation center. We can serve ASEAN, the Middle East, as well as Africa. He also said categorically that in the future, the GBA will be better than Silicon Valley. In the GBA, there's a population of 70 million. There are also world-class manufacturer chains, transportation network. Hong Kong enjoys soft power such as legal services, financial services, low tax regime, as well as a free port. Hong Kong will achieve complementarity effect together with other cities in the GBA. We have the Belt and Road Initiative. Definitely we can achieve a lot with other developing economies, and Hong Kong will be playing a very important role. Of course, Jeffrey spoke very highly of the GBA. What powers do we have? We have the capability for providing advanced technologies, and we can also support the industrial chain of the GBA regarding the capital pool in Hong Kong, This is very important. Jeffrey thinks that in the coming 10 years, the greenback is the core currency, and this will be shaken in the coming 10 years. There will be a multiple currency system and digital currency. This will dominate the global economy in the future. He also thinks that we aren't fast enough when it comes to internationalizing and digitalizing renminbi. Hong Kong is lagging behind. Well, on a personal note, in relation to the gold trading platform, we do need to move faster. The world has its eyes on Hong Kong, but of course, we also have soft power, such as IOMED, which was established earlier on regarding in a symposium regarding RCEP, I introduced IOMED to other countries. We have the common law system, we have civic law, and we enjoy the strong support of our country, which is a very large economy. We have the strong support of China. And in relation to dispute resolution, Hong Kong has the power. When you win a proceeding and you receive a judgment in your favor, you need to go to a jurisdiction where the judgment can be executed. That's why we foster integrity and reputation. The world has high expectation of Hong Kong. We need to solve problems. We need to make breakthroughs. I believe we won't let our country down. I believe we will see glamorous results and a good scorecard to 1.4 billion of Chinese nationals. Thank you, Mr. Emin Wong. Thank you, President. International geopolitics is ever-changing. We need to seize the opportunities to consolidate the traditional industries. We also need to explore new economic growth points, Web 3.0, green financing, digital assets. These are new and emerging industries. They can be new economic growth points. Expanding new markets is a must. But more importantly, we need policy support as well as resource support from the administration. Tax policies are very important when it comes to developing emerging markets. We have a low tax regime and low tax rate. We have successfully attracted quite a lot of investments to Hong Kong. Investors brought their capital to Hong Kong. That is how we enhance our competitiveness. The government has been providing tax concessions to relevant industries and sectors. We have seen quite good results. The administration promoted family offices. In 2023, tax concessions were provided to single-family offices. We saw great development in family office businesses. As of last year, we saw a total investment of $210 million. As of last year, we had a total of 2,007 family offices, and the figure increased to 3,000 later on. I believe in 2029 we will become the world's largest asset management center. All these hinge on the policy support and tax policies of the administration. These have brought a lot of opportunities and high-quality development to professional services. At present, for us to fully develop INT, digital technologies, digital assets, and green financing, the administration needs to move with the times. We need to refine our tax system having regard to the local circumstances, including developing the digital economy, digital assets. Tax policies should be rolled out in order to benefit different industries. Say we need to provide different tax concessions for a wide range of industries such as digital asset and digital financing. We also need to provide tax concessions to Web 3.0 or even eligible INT industries and enterprises. Tax breaks or tax concessions should be provided in order to attract more global capital and investments to Hong Kong. President, we need to develop emerging industries. These are exactly the new economic growth points for Hong Kong. We need to show the determination of the administration and the resolve so that we can seize the relevant opportunities, and this is how we can continue to shine as the pearl of the Orient. Thank you, Mr. Jimmy Ng. Thank you, President. We need to actively explore Hong Kong's new economic growth points. We first need to start the engine. So what is our engine? The ITIB gave us an answer. That is, INT is the engine of our local economic development. Professor Sandong said that we need to allow INT to take flight. In the past, we focused more on finance, trade, and the service industry. However, INT made actual contributions to the local economy. A lot of INT-related activities such as product design, data, software, technology, development, R&D, certification, these are receiving more and more recognition and attention. The Secretary even backed up his argument with statistics. In 2023, we saw a jump of $76.8 billion when it comes to Hong Kong manufacturing and new industrialization, a year-on-year increase of 7.6%, and it accounted for 2.6% of the local GDP. Regarding the Hong Kong industry, it accounts for some 4.4% of the local GDP. For the manufacturing industry related to industry, it accounts for 16.2% of the local GDP. The momentum is great. I fully subscribe to the belief that the key to developing new economic growth points is to leverage on innovation opportunities. INT is a major engine of global development. Regarding new energy vehicle, AI, these have shaken the world. Our country has been leading the world with these INT development. Let me turn back to Hong Kong. The Northern Metropolis will become the main headquarters of INT. I suggest that we should focus on developing healthcare technologies as well as life science technology. In a policy address, the government said that they would promote the commercialization of new products or new medicines full steam ahead. We need to promote healthcare tourism, healthcare education, as well as cosmetics using medicine or medical cosmetics. We need to be bold in making innovation. We need to be connected to even more industries. Say, we need to develop certification for wine. This is how we can help Chinese wine to go global. We also need to groom relevant talent in order to expand the talent pool. In relation to financial innovation, of course, we need to develop stable coins. I suggest we need to take a two-pronged approach. We need to expand the scope, and we also need to work on regulation. The stablecoin bill will come into operation soon. I suggest that we take a step-by-step approach with strict regulation at the outset. However, we cannot drag our feet. That is because we have a lot of competitors. We also need to ask the Central People's Government to support us. We need to develop as an offshore renminbi center. That is exactly how we can consolidate our status as an international financial center. We have IOMED. It has been set up in Hong Kong. We need to attract different enterprises, especially those from the Middle East, those from Southeast Asia and the Belt and Road Initiative to use our mediation services. That's how we can promote the development of rule of law in the GBA. We need to consolidate our development of the 14th Five-Year Plan, and we also need to prepare for the 15th Five-Year Plan. We need to help INT sector to take flight in Hong Kong so that we will scale new heights. Thank you.
Dr. Low Clock. President, I thank Ms. Eunice Yung for the motion and the 3 other members for their amendments. The global situation is complex. We see risks in the geopolitical situation. The U.S. is staging a tariff war, and we see volatility in the global order. We can no longer rely on what we have. We cannot stay passive. We have to soldier on and cope with the challenges. We have to actively cope with the geopolitical situation and identify new growth points. Our country is strengthening its cooperation with the Belt and Road countries as well as the Global South. We have to switch from relying on the European and the US market, and instead we should tap into the ASEAN, the Middle Eastern as well as the African markets. This is to diversify risks. AI, Web3 and IoT are bringing breakthroughs. They are game changers, and we have to ride on the trend of INT. We have to promote restructuring of our industries and inject new impetus to our economic growth. I agree that we have to identify new economic growth points. We have to deepen collaboration with the mainland as well as the international market to enhance our global influence. To explore new economic growth points, we have to look at what we have. The National 14th Five-Year Plan mentions about the 8-center positioning of Hong Kong. This provides a clear blueprint and development plan for Hong Kong. We should develop the 8 centers to usher in the National 15th Five-Year Plan. We need targeted policy as to develop new emerging industries. In terms of developing ourselves into an INT hub, the Northern Metropolis is an important future INT engine. The SAR government needs to have the determination to speed up the planning and development of the Northern Metropolis. First, we have to define clearly Santine Technopole, the INT park, as well as the technology park in terms of their positioning so that they can achieve complementarity. We should also speed up the infrastructural development, including the Northern Main Line. We have to build the cross-boundary corridor between Shenzhen and Hong Kong. We have to streamline approval process to attract top-notch INT institutes from mainland and overseas to come to Hong Kong so that we can build a world-class INT park. In terms of building ourselves into an international financial center, the Stablecoins Ordinance will come into effect on the 1st of August this year. We can build ourselves into a financial hub as we have the legal basis now. The government should speed up the issuing of licenses to stablecoin issuers. It should have the support from the mainland authorities to build ourselves into a offshore RMB hub for stablecoins issuers. This will enhance our status as a fintech center. It can also help our country develop RMB. With the new global trend, the SAR government should be more proactive in terms of attracting enterprises and investment. We should adopt a dual approach to bringing in and going global. in the Middle East, Africa, as well as in Latin America, we should set up ETOs to launch publicity campaigns. We should take the initiative to attract enterprises. We can write on the experience of having attracted the French aeronautic companies. We should be more efficient. In terms of helping mainland enterprises to go global, we should not just sit here and wait. We have to learn about the needs of different industry clusters in the mainland. In finance, legal sector, accounting sector, we have to make use of our strengths of providing professional services, and then we can become the best partners for mainland enterprises to go global. Reverend Peter Kuhn. Hong Kong is an east meets west center. We are an international metropolis. We have rich history and historical relics as well as religious and cultural resources. In recent years, global tourists and travelers, they're not just traveling to shop, they also go sightseeing to explore the culture of different places. We can make use of our unique cultural resources as well as our religious heritage. We have historical religious premises, and this shows that we are a melting pot of Chinese and Western cultures. This can also allow us to promote in-depth tourism. Currently, there are over 1,200 religious premises in Hong Kong. We are among the top of the world in this regard. We have a unique roadmap of religion. We have the monasteries in Wong Tai Sin as well as the St. John's Cathedral with a Gothic style. We also have history museums that witnesses how our Chinese cultures and Western cultures can merge. However, we are seeing some shortcomings in terms of our tourism development. If you look at the tourism board's website, the introduction of monasteries and temples in Hong Kong only focus on those on Buddhism, and this does not show the multifaceted religious cultures in Hong Kong. And we are offering one-day itineraries to tourists without giving them an in-depth experience. Tourists are pursuing a more in-depth experience to enrich their mental state. They want an immersive experience. We can learn from international model. We can provide a more special experience for tourists. Take the monastery experience in Japan. Tourists can stay in a temple with a 1,000-year history, and through copying the mantras, they can have an in-depth experience. And every year, the temples and monasteries attract hundreds and thousands of travelers around the world. In the Vatican Museum, there are AR technologies that provide an immersive experience. In Jerusalem, it also combines the worshipping premises and attractions of 3 major religions. This shows that we can combine religion and tourism, and we can make use of technologies to provide an in-depth experience for travelers. In order to unlock the potential of religious culture in Hong Kong, the government needs to provide policy support and coordination. This is crucial. I hope the government can set up a cross-departmental working group and a dedicated task force to promote religious tourism. We should also have a dedicated fund to provide support to help enhance the preservation of religious premises and cultural relics. In terms of rolling out an innovative experience, the government can work with religious premises to roll out projects with characters. For example, the Napoleon Monastery rolled out a one-day experience for tourists so that they can experience meditation as well as tea ceremony. In large-scale Christian premises, there could be concerts, and through music performance, we can tell our tourists about the characteristics of the architecture and arts, and this can help tourists explore the culture of Hong Kong, and this can also enhance our appeal. We should combine religion and culture to roll out an in-depth experience for tourists. We should also harness technologies. Through these three core elements and with a systematic development of religious culture, we can open up a new pathway for our tourism industry. We can also demonstrate to the world that we are a melting pot of Chinese and Western cultures. We can also enhance our status as a premier destination in the world. Ms. Judy Chen, I thank the member of my party, Ms. Eunice Yung, for moving this motion so that we can explore how we can actively identify Hong Kong's new economic growth points. Ms. Eunice Yung mentioned about the halal industry, and Mrs. Regina Ip mentions about the space economy, and I agree with what they said. My view is that the SAR government has not been paying enough attention to these two economies. They're all interrelated. Well, in one of the amendments, there is mention about the pet economy. In the past, pets were simply our companions, but nowadays, our pets are part of our family. And there's cost to grooming pets. If you look at the world's pet economy scale, this year it reaches $380 billion US. Some projections show that 5 years later, the pet economy can reach $500 billion US, and we see the most rapid growth in the Asia-Pacific region. Let's look at the Asia-Pacific region. We can take a look at our country first. Last year, expenditure on pet economy exceeds 300 billion RMB, representing an 8% increase. We have a so-called pet white paper, and around our country there are about 120 million cats and dogs. It is expected that 3 years later, the consumption expenditure will reach over 11.5 trillion, and that's up 3%. Now, if we turn to Japan, the statistics I got is not the most updated ones. According to 2023 statistics, there are 9 million pets in Japan, and it reaches 3 trillion Japanese yen in terms of the scale of the pet economy, and it is in line with the economic benefits brought by 2021 Tokyo Olympics. And according to G Market, the data they provide shows that %70 of the food products are for pets. So we see huge potential. According to Bloomberg, in 2023, our country registration number for pets will exceed that for children, and the ratio is as high as 2 to 1. Now, the past weekend, I moved a motion on promoting childbearing. We spoke from different perspectives on how we could enhance the vitality as well as the labor force of our community. Today, I want to talk more about how children can bring about economic benefits to the city. I came across a study, a very special one, and it is a top medical journal that focuses on productivity, human productivity. In 2011, Taiwan increased the subsidies for those who are infertile. And according to the journal, the benefits brought by children amount to a 5.8 times higher of the tax revenue. So different childbearing policies will bring benefits, so it deserves our government's investment in it. So I support Ms. Eunice Yong's motion as well as the other amendments. Thank you. Mr. Tang Fei.
I very much support Ms. Hoi-yan's original motion. If we say that we have no recovery whatsoever in the economy, that would be a lie. If we look at the figures, we can see there is a recovery. We have IPOs developing well since the second half of last year. It really rebuts all the negative reports that we had. And we have hundreds of billions of dollars channeled into different asset investment classes. However, we do see many shops closing. That is the truth. We have a high vacancy rate for commercial properties. So what is the conclusion? We have here in Hong Kong prosperous development in the education sector and in the financial industry. But for those that are more grassroots, that are more for the livelihood of the people, they are not doing well. So there are two extremes. According to the 21st century capital theory by a French economist, capital accumulation is always faster than the increase in income. So inevitably, with the development of finance, there will be a greater divide in wealth classes. And we have the Nobel Economic Laureates write a book last year. They have objected to the development of AI because that would make the wealth divide larger, channeling wealth into the rich. And according to a recent report, the rapid development of AI has increased the wealth divide among different countries. The development in finance will definitely benefit the economy, but it will increase the divide in classes. This does not only happen in Hong Kong, this is a global phenomenon. What should we do then? If we do not consider how the economic fruits will benefit the people, there is no point. So instead of thinking only about the economic growth points in general, we need to think about the economic growth points that will benefit the people. Now, in the education sector, industrialization of education has always been controversial. When we talk about creating a study in Hong Kong brand, we really need to consider the policy intention. Industrialization of education is not to earn more money in the sector. It's not to have schools earn more money. It is on the premise of ensuring quality of education with recruiting more students from mainland and overseas that will alleviate the burden posed by the aging population on us. It will also provide us with a new development pathway. Please do not underestimate the benefits generated by education, because we have seen great successful experiences in different places. We need to think about this benefiting people when setting our KPIs. Say for the industrialization of education, we should not only set a KPI for the number of students we are to recruit, we should have KPIs that will measure the benefits to the people, so that with economic policies in general, we can make sure we can dovetail with the strategy that we are developing the economy but also benefiting the people. I so submit. Mr. Ma from Kwok. I speak in support of the original motion and the amendments. When we see significant changes in the economic situation in different parts of the world, we need to have new economic growth points. And we have seen the region being the pearl of the Orient for many years. For the cultural and creative industries, we have now a 7.3 billion investment. We have the West Kowloon Cultural District, we have different cultural establishments, but we need to do more. The country has promulgated the Belt and Road Initiative. It has brought about tremendous opportunities for the cultural and creative industries. If we leverage on our advantages, we can have influential products launched in Hong Kong. We have the conditions and the responsibility to promote exchanges between the Eastern and Western cultures. If we can help local and mainland cultural phenomena go global, and we can bring in foreign cultural products that will be beneficial. We have 200,000 cultural practitioners in Hong Kong. That's just 5% of the working population. We have already included such professions in the talent list, but that's not enough. We need to do more to recruit talents. Nurturing of talents is also important. In primary and secondary schools, there is really no seamless transition, and we only have 3,000 odd students studying relevant subjects. It cannot meet our needs in the cultural and creative industries. We also face the constraint of not having enough space. We only have less than 150 cultural establishments. We have also not enough venues for civic cultural organizations. With the West Kowloon Cultural District, we have more space, but we have to do more to tackle the root cause of the issue. For example, the monuments and structures that have been left idle, can we make use of those for the activities of the cultural and creative industries? When we have more non-traditional spaces used by cultural and creative industries, I believe it will bring about transformation in the sense that there will be creativity everywhere. We have also a new model of development in art tech, and the mainland is a pioneer. We have like Myth Wukong and Ne Zha movies that show great potential, not just for the economy, but also for us to exert soft influence culturally. We have great strengths in INT. I think we can catch up with the East Kowloon Cultural Center. If it can be an incubation platform, it can really help develop the industries. The government should encourage enterprises and R&D organizations to explore new technologies, applications in cultural and creative industries so that we can create our own brand in such tech. With the development of Hong Kong, we need to make sure we are nurturing identity and sense of belonging in cultural and creative industries. We need to have products of our unique cultural characteristics. We should leverage on our networks to publicize the different creations. It is with this that we can be competitive in the world and tell good stories of Hong Kong and mainland China. We need concerted efforts to make this happen. we need resources allocated effectively for the development of the market and create favorable conditions for further development and further creativity. We also need creators to create more creations in order to make this happen. I so submit. Mr. Yu Patlan. I speak in support of the original motion and the amendments. The tourism industry is a traditional pillar industry. We are at a critical juncture of transformation. We have seen Singapore, Seoul, Tokyo that are providing unique cultural experiences. In the mainland, they're also doing that, as we all know. If we only rely on traditional tourism models, we will lose out to competition. So we need to have new economic growth points, not only for the benefit of the economy, but also for the tourism industry. I want to talk in particular how we can make use of new economic growth points to have more tourism models so as to benefit the economy. We have in the original motion saying that we should develop cultural and creative industries and sports industry. We need to integrate that with the development of tourism. There's much to talk about. Let me share with you an observation today. For the relevant industries, we often rely on the support of the government rather than enterprises. This is due to resources constraints. It is also because there are high capital financing costs as well as high barriers in terms of policy. We should try to streamline procedures and make it easier to finance such projects. We also need to have more infrastructure so that we have good conditions for enterprises to participate in projects. Tourism needs innovative experiences. Victoria Harbour is well known. We have the geopark being quite famous. We also have Yan Chao Tong having a beautiful site. If we can make use of these different attractions better, we can do more. We can perhaps have manned aircraft as a low-altitude economic application tested in the regulatory sandbox for use in tourism. This will create favorable conditions for the development of low-altitude tourism so that we can be pioneers in the world and provide a unique experience to tourists. There are also other diversified experience we can take advantage of. We have the Balloon Fest, a hot balloon fest in Central Harbourfront in September. I thank the government's support for this because people will be able to do something that is not done frequently before in Hong Kong, that is going on hot air balloons. So I think we have great potential to explore more diversity in the use of our resources. We should also develop rural tourism. Tourism Board and the hotel industry last year held a forum on tourism. And a professor talked in particular about how we can make better use of smart tourism and applications of IoT in the hotel industry to expedite development, high quality development of the tourism industry. And we have the working group on developing smart tourism that can help the industry go further and collaborate with other industries and the academia to have more plus tourism applications. And in turn, that will also create great impetus for growth of the economy.
Dr. Johnny Ng. Thank you, Deputy President. I speak in support of the motion moved by Ms. Eunice Yong We do need to actively explore new economic growth points. Some experts and scholars mention economic recovery. Some industries are doing better, whereas some aren't. Some are in dire straits. International geopolitics brings to us both opportunities and challenges. I agree with Ms. Eunice Yung that we need to enjoy strong support from our motherland and being closely connected to the world. We have one country, two systems, and we also need to understand what strengths and weaknesses we have. We need to accord priorities to our development. Financial innovation, INT, space economy. I'm interested in these areas. They may not attract a lot of people, but then their economic contributions may be significant. We do need to seek a balanced development. That's why we need to actively explore new economic growth points. In relation to new industries such as Web 3.0, this is of great concern to me. I believe we need to seize the opportunity to develop Web 3.0. In the past 2 to 3 years, not many people know a lot about this sector. They may be worried about scams. We need to work on investor education to clamp down on scams. In the past 2 years, they attracted over 1,000 enterprises to Hong Kong. There were many real estate property transactions, speculation in the financial markets. All these have to do with this industry. I believe in the coming 2 to 3 years, if we can seize the opportunities, definitely this sector will add vitality to our economy. I'd like to share some of my views, but I cannot go into detail owing to time limits. I provided my suggestions to the Chief Executive. Stablecoin laws and regulations, centralized exchange, ETF, NEC has been incorporated into sport, but then in Hong Kong we already implemented last year. Is it possible for us to form an alliance in relation to digital asset regulatory alliance in the Belt and Road Initiative? Can we steer this alliance? We can export our regulatory philosophy. Say Southeast Asian countries, Middle East countries, European countries, they're willing to work with Hong Kong. I hope that the government will consider taking the lead to make it happen. In relation to RWA, that is real world asset, this is a hot issue in Hong Kong. We have green bonds. We also have REITs. We have energy, charging facilities, photovoltaic panels, or in Africa, we have forests and agricultural land or farmland. The theory may be simple, but when it comes to actual implementation, it's complicated. Can we establish a real-world asset academy? Can we export theories and experience to other countries so that they will be able to draw reference from Hong Kong? We need to promote the development of Web 3.0 to integrate into digital economy. We also need to integrate the digital economy into the physical economy. The 15th five-year plan is going to start soon. We need to review what we have done in the 14th five-year plan so that we will be able to cement our status and make greater contributions to our country. This will improve the quality of life for people in Hong Kong. Thank you. Ms. Chen Yut-ming. Thank you, Deputy President. I speak in support of the motion and the amendments. The global economic landscape is constantly evolving. there are consumption pattern changes in Hong Kong. There are four main pillars, one of which is the real estate. In the tourism sector, we manage to attract people, but then they aren't spending a lot. While we are consolidating the strengths of our traditional industries, we do need to develop emerging markets and industries as well. In relation to exploring new economic growth points, I have 2 points to share with you. We need to develop the brand of studying in Hong Kong, or attract people to study in Hong Kong. In Australia, in 2024, the whole sector saw over 30 billion USDs. In the UK, it is one of the most sought-after destinations for education. In the US, the economic contributions total 10 billion USD. In Hong Kong, we have 5 universities ranking the top 100 in the world. We have a good reputation when it comes to education and studying in Hong Kong. We do have the conditions and room to develop this industry. China attaches a lot of importance to high-quality development, and it helps different industries to upgrade and transform. It's been on the same part with the US as an international innovation center. We need to work with countries in the Global South and the Belt and Road Initiative. There's a huge demand for studying in Hong Kong. And I believe more people will choose to study in China instead of the US, the UK, and Australia, which are currently the sought-after education destinations. Higher education sector in Hong Kong has the strengths of internationalization and collaboration with the mainland. I hope that there will be an increase in the ratio of non-local students. Many children in Hong Kong are sent overseas for education. In Hong Kong, we can develop international schools in the secondary and the primary level. When it comes to financial innovation, the chief executive and the financial secretary said that the capital market in Hong Kong has been faring quite well. In the past 6 months, in Hang Seng Index, we can see that these sectors saw a jump of 26%. Whereas for biotech, the index saw a surge of 97%. Before we had the jam board, Hong Kong X rolled out 18A new listing regime. It allows biotech companies without any profits to get listed in Hong Kong X. In the years that followed, the industry wasn't faring quite well, but despite this, we have been able to manufacture some high-quality pharmaceutical products. In China, there were a total of 52 pharmaceutical products having gone global. The total amount stood at over 64.7 billion USD. That is greater than the aggregate seen in 2024. There were quite a lot of ups and downs in relation to the 18A listing regime or the rules. But now the financial market in Hong Kong can enjoy the dividends of the innovative pharmaceutical industry in China. I hope there will be more products in relation to Section 18C listing regime. Your time is up. Please stop. Thank you. Professor Chow Man Kong. Thank you, Deputy President. I speak in support of the original motion and the amendments. Now, we are having public consultation for the upcoming policy address. I submitted an 89-page suggestion to the Chief Executive. The theme is to seek breakthroughs and keep innovating. We need to leverage on our own strengths to help Hong Kong to scale new heights. Education, financial sector, industry, I believe these will be the new economic growth points for Hong Kong. In 2023, the government developed Hong Kong into an international education hub. In developing Hong Kong into an international education hub, we see three highs. 1, high student demand, 2, high income, and a high affordability. For non-local students in Hong Kong higher education in 2021, we saw a figure of 242,000. This year, we have seen the figure doubling to 80,000 from the previous figure. We believe this figure will continue to be on the rise. In fact, developing Hong Kong into an international education hub, we will see some economic benefits. It will stimulate the F&B sector, cultural sector, entertainment sector, recreational sector, as well as the upgrading and transformation of the local industry or the local industrial sector. This will also help Hong Kong to become an international I&T center by speeding up commercialization. We may also be able to advance the manufacturing sector in Hong Kong. We will attract more talents to come to Hong Kong, and we will also drive investments. In Guangzhou, we can see the improving transportation network. This will expedite the speed at which our economy is transforming or is being transformed. This will be conducive to the diversified development of the high-end professional services. Say the CEDB may consider working with the EDB to draw reference from the British Council. There are schemes such as studying in Australia. We need to set up an office of studying in Hong Kong. We may go overseas to hold large-scale education exhibitions and talks. We should also designate the university town in the Northern Metropolis as a flagship project to promote Hong Kong as a destination for education. We need to expand the capacity and improve the quality of Hong Kong as an international high-caliber talent hub. We need to actively explore new economic growth points for Hong Kong. We need to have a proposal for attracting enterprises and businesses. We need to attract 3 mega enterprises to set up operations in the Northern Metropolis. Say they may be in areas such as new energy vehicles, semiconductors, or biopharmaceutical industries. Against the tariff policies in the U.S., quite many pharmaceutical companies are moving away from the U.S. to Asia. We do need to leverage on these opportunities. This will drive the upstream, midstream, and downstream development. There will also be synergized development to make greater economic contributions to Hong Kong. This will further boost the development momentum of Hong Kong. Hong Kong has the unrivaled reputation as an international financial center. There is still a lot of room for Hong Kong to attract more international enterprises to come to Hong Kong to go listed. Hong Kong X may consider setting up more overseas offices in Southeast Asia as well as other emerging markets. There should be publicity as well as public education in regions and countries where there is immense potential. There should be more roadshows and exhibitions to step up publicity. We need to promote the advantages and strengths of IP in Hong Kong. This way, this will attract more enterprises to choose Hong Kong to provide IP services. Thank you.
Professor Lau Chee-pang, thank you. I speak in support of Ms. Eunice Yong's motion on actively exploring Hong Kong's new economic growth points and the amendments made by other members. We are at the stage of pursuing economic growth. Our economy is being restructured, and a number of members have talked about how to identify new growth points. I'd like to focus on the education sector. Over the past 2 years, under the leadership of the Chief Executive, we have been trying to build ourselves into an international post-secondary education hub, and we try to promote study in Hong Kong. According to the latest figures, for degree programs in the post-secondary sector, we have about 90,000 non-local students studying in Hong Kong. It's a simple math. Let's say each of these non-local students, they stay in Hong Kong for a 10-month period on average. In the tourism sector, each tourist stays in Hong Kong for about 3 days. So that means a non-local student is here for 80 trips. Now, with the 90,000 non-local students, we have a number equivalent to 8 million tourists spending money here, not to mention that their family members as well as friends may come to Hong Kong to visit them while they are here. So this is a huge number. We have a few or dozen million tourists coming to Hong Kong each year. Now, turning back to the non-local students, they pay tuition here. The tuition depends on what kind of programs they enroll in, and that amount to about $20 billion. Now, on spending, we care about their accommodation. We're seeing an increasing population of non-local students here, and it seems that we have more hostel places for them now because many of the apartments are remodified to student hostels. And on this issue, the Development Bureau has been actively tackling the issue. For example, it is promoting the transformation of industrial building as well as commercial buildings into student hostels. Now, on food, 4 students may order 6 dishes in the university canteens, and they're mostly non-local students. For those who arrive at 8 p.m., we see 6 students ordering 8 dishes, and they're mostly local students. I got told by members of the catering industry that there is a dim sum shop in Taiwan, and in one weekend they have a business turnover of $150,000, and most of their customers are Putonghua speakers. And this is because there is one major student hostel of a university nearby. Now let's look at the US and the UK. Each non-local student spends at least 500,000 Hong Kong dollars per year in these countries. In Hong Kong, it's similar. We have about 90,000 non-local students. Every year, we have got a spending of about $50 billion. So, by promoting studying in Hong Kong, we can bring about economic benefits. Like Mr. Tang Fei said, we have to promote the education sector. For a minor who come to study in Hong Kong, the parents may come here with them, and there will be spending. Can we reform our curriculum? For example, can the Chinese curriculum for the DSE program not be so harsh so that we can keep our students here? So that there won't be students turning to the IB program. I so submit. Thank you. Mr. Brave Chan. Thank you, Deputy President. I also thank the Secretary. I thank Ms. Eunice Yung for the motion as well as the other members for the amendments. The motion is on actively exploring Hong Kong's new economic growth points. This is a broad topic. Each member speaks in their own industry. I want to talk about how we can enhance speed and efficiency. President Xi Jinping asked us to develop the 8 centers, and we're moving towards this direction. Now, we have to look at the outcomes as well as whether we are being efficient enough. We are an international financial center. We're trying to build an international INT hub. These are definitely the 2 major pillars that brings about the biggest economic growth. And the chief executive has been mentioning about this in his policy addresses. Let's look at some of the past analysis as well as economic data. For traditional sectors such as real estate, it accounts for over 40% of our GDP. For new economy and green finance, they account for about 12% of our GDP as at 2023. In terms of the global fintech index, we are behind Singapore. We're ranked 4th. What I want to say is that some of the view that the financial sector is the traditional industry we have. We are talking about new economic growth points. Take high-speed rail. It's well established around the world, but our country is turning it into something more advanced. And with innovative resources, we have the greatest high-speed rail in our country. So riding on what we have existing, we can do better. Take RMB, offshore securities, and the Connect scheme we have. We can do better. On the foundation we have, we can achieve something more. Professor Lau Chi-pang mentioned about building ourselves into an education center. We're going to build a university town in the northern metropolis. We may only yield results 3, 5, or 7 years later. For talents, we expect those, for example, from Harvard as well as Nobel Prize winners to come here. Can we transform our industrial buildings? And then, when the university town in the northern metropolis is built, we can move into the university town. We also have the tea restaurant culture in Hong Kong. We can think about how we can make this culture flourish. We should have the government relax the restrictions. We have to boost efficiency by relaxing the barriers and restrictions. We want the government to offer more support to reduce the hurdles so that we can build a new economy. So we can achieve greater benefits if we can lower the cost. This is how we can pursue economic growth. Lastly, we've been talking about panda economy. I also have a pin here with a panda on my shirt. We need to have a comprehensive industrial chain. We have to showcase something that is not offered in the panda parks in the mainland. What I want to say is that as long as we can enhance speed and efficiency, we can have the barriers removed, we'll be able to ride on the opportunities to scale new heights. Thank you. I remind members that according to the House rules, this motion debate will end by 11:34 a.m. Today, we will, at about 11:16, invite the mover to speak on the motion. Afterwards, we'll deal with the rest of the procedures for the motion debate. Mr. Stephen Ho. Thank you. I thank Ms. Yong for moving this motion today. Let's talk about the DAB's position. Over the past few years, our party has set up 10 major platforms to identify new economic growth points. I am in charge of the marine economy. We also have groups looking at low-altitude economy as well as silver economy. Some may not know a lot about how low-altitude economy or other types of new economy can benefit them. My office always receive inquiries from people. We have seen economic growth, but how come the growth is not benefiting the grassroots? So while we explore new economic growth points, we have to consider whether they can cover members of the public to support their employment. I hope Ms. Eunice Yong as well as the SAR government can pay more attention to this. We have to develop new economies that can benefit the public. Of course, it is important to make money for Hong Kong, but we have to strike a balance. In 2012, marine economy accounted for 5 trillion RMB, and last year we saw a double in terms of the growth of the marine economy. And the GDP growth for the marine economy is higher. It's 0.9% higher than other growth of economy. In Hong Kong, the SAR government is not incorporating the marine economy in its plan. We've been talking about the Long Kwu Tan Reclamation Plan. It calls it the Coastal Economic Area. We lack an overall industrial support plan. For example, for INT, the government asked you to go to the relevant departments to make applications. So we lack coordination from the government to build the marine economy. I hope the SAR government, especially the CEDB or the Development Bureau, should look at how it can incorporate the marine economy into its plan. I think it's not enough to have the Environment and Ecology Bureau to serve as the gateway. Also, we have to look at the strengths we have. We always say that we have a free port. But our new growth points are restricted to traditional sectors. We haven't been able to promote new productive forces. I'm not saying that we should not focus on trade, but if we focus too much on trade, we would oversee the value of other elements and industries. If we can bring together different industries, it can be turned into something much greater. We saw a reform in our liquor tax, and we want to promote the culture of white wine to the world. However, we still focused on trade, but the major point is we have to cultivate talent. What we like is we like talents who can identify the authenticity of white wine. We like people who appreciate white wine and who can rate them in terms of their purity and the way they are brewed. So we need to cultivate talent. The Quality Assurance Agency can only tell you that there is no toxic substance in the white wine. So we need people who can offer professional certification services, like Ms. Eunice Yong said. This is the idea of promoting new productive forces. Lastly, I still think that we are not touching enough on the original food ingredients in the catering sector. We should ensure that we have ingredients with Hong Kong characters. Thank you.
Mr. Kenneth Fok, I note a few days ago, Financial Secretary said that there is a need to upgrade and transform, and it is a dynamic process. Why is it necessary? I think we need that for innovation, and we need that mindset in general. I thank Ms. Hoi-yan for proposing the original motion. It is a good timing to discuss the relevant subject. Actually, my office has released a report on mega events economy. I hope that the government can look into it. We need venues to hold mega events. That's a precondition. And we should develop the sports industry. We need input from the government. The government has been planning for more sports venues, and I think the government needs to have a long-term mindset to make sure we have world-class venues. So these are venues that align with international standards. Let me give an example. We will have many basketball games hosted in Hong Kong in future, but we do not really have any world-class venues for basketball games. The government should do something about it. We have many people who like to play basketball, and we have some competitions held in the Victoria Park, but the Victoria Park cannot host the bigger games. We do not have the venue conform to the relevant standards in terms of size or the number of spectators it can hold. So we really need to do something about it. We are in a tight fiscal position. Does that mean we can't do anything right now? No. We can have the LCSD try to transform the existing venues. We should actively explore collaborating with the market, the private sector, to see what we can do. For the Hong Kong Stadium, does the government have to make the investment alone, or can we leverage on market forces while providing benefits for the private sector as well? I have raised a written question on the Hong Kong Stadium yesterday, and I do note many members quoting the question. We need to think about what we do with the Hong Kong Stadium in future, and you can see the costs significantly outweigh the benefits, it seems. Would that be a burden on the Treasury? Would that cause vicious competition with Kai-Tak? Would that hurt the sustainable development of the Hong Kong Stadium? I think we really have to think hard about this. If we look at overseas examples, sometimes with venues, it's not just renting the venues. For the Wembley Stadium in the UK, if they're not used for games, they will partner with schools so that students can use the venues for various purposes. I think we can really think about this example. Mr. Vincent Ching also talked about how we can have sports venues rented out to sports associations. Or can we look further? We can rent the space to mainland or overseas associations for their use. I have only dozens of seconds left, so I'll be brief. We need to think about this as an investment in the sports industry, just like how we're investing in INT. Singapore's Formula One experience is a great example. we only have 700 million in population. We need to generate economic benefits beyond what 700 million or 7 million people can do. We should leverage on the potential of the Greater Bay Area. We can create many sports IP within the GBA so that we can achieve synergy. I so submit. Speaking in support of Ms. Yung Hoi-yan's original motion, Mr. Siu Ka-fai. I thank Ms. Yung Hoi-yan for proposing the original motion on actively exploring Hong Kong's new economic growth points. In the original motion, it is said we should promote development in areas such as innovation and technology, space economy, financial innovation, etc. We want to involve talents because these are different areas. On the traditional advantages of Hong Kong, I'm sure locals are quite familiar with that, so I'll just talk briefly about this. I have recently talked to someone in the beauty industry. There are calls for the government to host conferences in the industry so that we can be a capital of beauty. We do have an edge in cosmetics treatments because we have quite quality treatments and products. So many of those in the mainland would come here for such treatments. And you can see in the retail figures for cosmetics and pharmaceuticals in beauty, we have very good figures because many of those come to Hong Kong for such products. And we have many of such products imported. The Victoria Harbour is quite beautiful. We can perhaps develop a wedding photography trade at the harbour, and we can create a network of photographers and bridal dress providers so as to make it happen. I remember about a year ago, I have a friend who works in exporting and retail of clothing. And they said for a piece of clothing on Taobao, it would only cost $100 odd. The clothing that they import would definitely cost more than that. And not to mention, there is also rent to pay. And I met with the other friend about 3 months ago. And they said they could buy in bulk on Taobao pieces of clothing and then add, say, some decorations such as a ribbon on it. Why do you have to do it? It is said because if they don't add any decorations, there are many of the same products available on Taobao. If they add something, they can sell at a much higher price. Not to mention there will not be any alternatives on Taobao. So this is a form of creativity and how they can develop business. And I recently heard for showers, often in Hong Kong, they will have bricks laid. But then in the mainland, they can use larger tiles and they will still have a drain put in. And I note that recently we have sales pitches made in Cantonese of companies in the mainland. I think this is a new sales model. The product is not this, but if they saw the sales pitch in Cantonese, they would just go with that person. So they do not have a retail shop, but they are already conducting such business. So I think we can leverage on the advantages in the mainland. We can speak different languages in Hong Kong. We can speak English. We can speak other languages of Asia. So if we can have the sales pitch done in other languages on other platforms, I think that will be a new industry for us to develop. Thank you. Mr. Dominic Lee. Thank you, President. We have seen great changes, and we cannot make use of our traditional ways to meet the upcoming challenges. We need to be proactive to find a new way forward for us. And I thank Ms. Hoi-yan for providing this opportunity for us to discuss new economic growth points. So I do support this original motion. There are several suggestions in the original motion. I, in particular, support the development of space economy. We can look at the experience of the UAE. And I note in Dubai, in particular, and I believe Ms. Hoi-yan has been in the UAE for many times. So say in Dubai, they have Mohammed bin Rashid Space Center that has successfully launched space explorers that has really shocked the world. They want to have space exploration, transformation, and that integrated with youth development. We are a world-class financial center. We have great advantages to become a financing center or a data center for development of space economy. We can perhaps have some departments take part in the space development strategy. We can also try to attract some aeronautics enterprises come to Hong Kong to set up operations so that we can develop an industry here. We have also the original motion mentioning halal industry. We can refer to the experience of Malaysia. It's not just about having halal certification. In Malaysia, they have an ecosystem. They have a halal corporation that would coordinate pretty much everything from the upstream, manufacturing, retail, all the way to something downstream, such as halal tourism. They will promote halal-friendly hotels and hospitals. They also have a sukuk called, that's essentially Islamic bond, that will provide capital for halal enterprises. So we need to have an ecosystem like Malaysia that can combine the different advantages of Hong Kong in finance, trading, etc., with the halal industry, so as for us to tap into the Muslim market. We also have the International Arbitration Center in Hong Kong, but we need to be proactive in creating business. We have the Maxwell Chambers in Singapore that is a similar arbitration center. I don't have much time to go into details here, but all in all, we are at a critical juncture of transformation. With great challenges come great opportunities. I thank Ms. Hoi-yan for pointing out a clear way forward for us. If the government heeds the suggestions of the New People's Party, just like what Mrs. Regina, if we develop the space economy, the halal industry, and the various industries, and we have ambitious policy visions with concerted efforts, we should be able to develop new economic growth points and reach new heights in the world. Thank you.
Mr. Benson Look. Thank you, President. I thank Ms. Eunice Yung for moving this motion, and I also thank members for other amendments. If we need to help the local economy to scale new heights, indeed we need new models and new scenarios. But we have a lack of resources. There are also challenges in the external environment. We need a targeted approach. We cannot simply shower resources. We need to maximize cost effectiveness. We need to promote theme economy. We need to take a tangible approach. I would advocate the yachts economy and mega events economy. We cannot stay myopic. We need to set our eyes on an integrated approach covering culture, sports, and tourism. We have Art Basel, we have Marathon, we also have a wide range of concerts held in Qatar Sports Park. They have drawn a lot of audience members to come to Hong Kong. There were over 24 million visitors in the first half of this year, many of whom came to Hong Kong because of these mega events. The Tourism Board and the administration took the lead to organize different mega events. We also need to encourage different companies to host and co-host different mega events. We need to mobilize market force. This will render the use of public funds more effective. There will also be better leverage effect. With staunch support of the administration, Hong Kong does have the conditions to organize mega events in all 4 quarters of a year. We will be able to attract more overnight visitors. There are over 260 outlying islands in Hong Kong. Basically, you can reach the vast majority of the waters in Hong Kong within 30 minutes. We have the conditions to develop yachts economy. We can combine sports, F&B, exhibition, and convention in the yachts economy so that we will be able to create a new tourism industrial chain. Yachts trade volume totaled over 40 billion USD. That is equivalent to over 310 billion Hong Kong dollars. In 2022 to 2024, there were 372, 445, and 530 super yachts in Hong Kong. The yachts economy covered a wide range of industries such as recreational, entertainment, sports, trade, and so on. Operation, repair, maintenance, training, all these segments are involved in the yachts economy. Apart from repair and maintenance, the yachts industrial chain also covers financing, legal services, insurance, convention, sales, leasing, and so on. I believe you know there will be a lot of economic contributions brought by the yacht economy. Repair and maintenance accounts for some 5% of the total cost of a yacht. Each yacht costs about 5 million Hong Kong dollars. According to these projections, the BPA believes if we develop Hong Kong into a yacht center, this will bring some 3 billion Hong Kong dollars every year. And yacht trade will bring about $1.5 billion every year. These will total $4.5 billion every year, and this is a conservative ballpark. If we can develop Hong Kong into a Bay Area yacht center, I believe there will be even greater economic contributions. Policy support and the relaxation of policy I mean, the barriers will be conducive. That's why in August this year, I will hold a roundtable together with the industry to explore new opportunities. When we develop new markets, it doesn't mean that we'll give up on our traditional industries, but we need to explore new application scenarios and new models so that we will bring the flow of people and capital to Hong Kong. Thank you. I so submit. Ms. Eunice Yung, you may now speak on the amendments. I thank Mr. Michael TIEN, Dr. Hoey, Simon Lee, and Ms. Chen Yuen-ming for their amendments. They enrich the contents of my original motion. There are two main fronts. One, Mr. Michael TIEN and Dr. Hoey, Simon Lee urge the government to attract more enterprises to Hong Kong to set up operations. This includes enjoying our strong support from the motherland and being closely connected to the world. We need to be on the offensive in order to explore new economic growth points. Ms. Chen Yuen-ming mentioned the pet economy. These are in close alignment with my original motion. These have added a lot to my motion of exploring new economic growth points. I support their amendments. Mr. Michael TIEN said that different policy bureaus should also proactively attract enterprises and investment wherever feasible and invite new economy enterprises relevant to their respective portfolios to set up a presence in Hong Kong, thereby fostering new drivers of economic growth. Well, I believe being proactive is the key. Different regions all around the world are facing keen competition. It is of paramount importance to attract high-quality enterprises and investments to Hong Kong. If we want to stand out, we need to be more proactive. Different policy bureaus have proactive measures for attracting enterprises to set up operations in Hong Kong. Their work is worth our recognition. Different policy bureaus are working on the same areas. Say we have the Belt and Road Office, we also have Oasis, we have ETOs, and we also have the Hong Kong TDC, Hong Kong Trade Development Council. I believe the government should better coordinate all this work, and we also need to take a more targeted and systematic approach to attract enterprises. We need to provide one-stop services to enterprises that have potential and that are interested in coming to Hong Kong. We need to provide streamlined registration procedures, tax concessions, and so on. Apart from that, Dr. Hoey, Simon Lee mentioned in his amendment that we need to go global. I believe this viewpoint is very important as well. This will help us to integrate into our national development, and then we can become a main springboard to help mainland enterprises to go global. Alongside developing the halal industry, we need to develop a comprehensive certification system and industrial chain. This will help our products to be exported to Muslim countries and also to help mainland enterprises to go global. That's why I believe this is one of the most important new economic growth points. Hong Kong plays the role of a super connector in the Belt and Road Initiative. In the GBA, we are a main window and a bridge between between China and the world. We do have favorable conditions. The government should highlight this and play the dual role of bringing in and going global. Ms. Chen Yuen-ming mentioned the pet economy, which is of great concern and attention to all people in Hong Kong. It covers a wide range of areas such as insurance, food, and so on. An online survey finds that about 80% of the interviewees said that expenses on pets averaged $2,086 per month, 6% up from the previous figure 1 year earlier, that is $1,962, according to a China Pet Industry Market Report published by the KPMG in 2023. The figure stood at $592 billion, and the figure is expected to increase to about $800 billion. In the US and Europe, they are seeing similar patterns, and we can see that globally, the pet economy will continue to be on the rise. I believe Hong Kong, may leverage on our strengths of a logistics network, we also need to improve the regulatory regime for VETs in order to cement the status of the pet economy in Hong Kong. Overall, the three amendments have enriched the contents of my original motion. I support the amendments and I look forward to hearing from the administration, and I also hope other members will support their amendments. Thank you.
Undersecretary for Commerce and Economic Development. President, I thank Ms. Eunice Yung again for the motion, Mr. Michael TIEN, Ms. Maggie Chen, and Dr. Hoey Simon Lee for their amendments. I also thank a total of 41 members for their valuable views on this motion. Now I'll give a consolidated response. I noticed that a number of members wish that the government enhance its work on strengthening connectivity. It also hopes that we can step up our publicity overseas to tell good stories of Hong Kong. Indeed, the government has been doing a lot to enhance our competitiveness. In the 2025 World Competitiveness Yearbook, Hong Kong is ranked top 3 as the most competitive economy, and in terms of business regulation as well as tax policies, we are ranked the first. We are ranked the top 3 again after 2019. And it shows that we have yielded results through our policies in terms of attracting businesses and capital. In 2023 and to 2025, Invest Hong Kong has already helped 1,300 enterprises to set up operational or expand their businesses in Hong Kong. It is expected that they will bring about 160 billion Hong Kong dollars in Hong Kong. And for the first year that they set up their operations in Hong Kong, they will create 19,000 jobs in Hong Kong. It shows that we have already achieved our targets, and we will continue to ride on the opportunities we see. In terms of strengthening our ties with the mainland, as there is a rising demand for services, we will continue to ride on the facilitation measures offered by the mainland authorities under the CEPA framework. For example, under the Amendment 2 agreement, we have introduced measures allowing Hong Kong invested enterprises to adopt Hong Kong law and allow Hong Kong invested enterprises to choose for arbitration to be seated in Hong Kong. Also, in a number of areas, we are seeing pilot schemes rolled out by the mainland authorities so that we can provide a wider range of professional services in the GBA market, bringing new opportunities to businesses and professionals. On deepening our ties with the international market, despite the challenges and uncertainties brought about by the economic slowdown in overseas markets, the impact of geopolitics, and the unreasonable tariff measures of the U.S., we are actively pursuing diversified measures to open up emerging markets and consolidate our position as an international trade center. Since assuming office in 2022, the CE has led 5 high-level business delegations to visit the Middle East twice and ASEAN 3 times to explore business opportunities for Hong Kong and to strengthen ties with these economies. These visits were fruitful. We have signed close to 90 MOUs and agreements with different units of the ASEAN countries covering a wide range of areas. We'll continue to step up the relevant work to explore new economic growth points. Also, Hong Kong will continue to play its role as a functional platform for the Belt and Road Initiative and contribute to our country's efforts in promoting the Belt and Road Initiative. Hong Kong will celebrate the 10th anniversary of the Belt and Road Summit this year, which is scheduled to be held between the 10th and 11th of September this year. We have taken the initiative to reach out to the relevant organizations to encourage them to organize relevant activities before and after the summit to enhance synergy and to tell good stories of our country in Hong Kong. A number of members said we have to step up support for enterprises to help them upgrade and transform themselves. We are promoting high value-added industry development to promote new industrialization. We have already rolled out a number of schemes, such as the New Industrial Acceleration Scheme and the New Industrialization Funding Scheme to support enterprises to set up new smart manufacturing facilities in Hong Kong. Apart from launching the pilot scheme this year to provide matching grants to local manufacturing industries to encourage them to set up smart production lines, We will establish the INT Industry-Oriented Fund to channel more market capital to invest in specified emerging and future industries of strategic importance. The goal is to systematically build an INT ecosystem. Through the above measures, we hope to promote the integration of technological and industrial innovation and lead Hong Kong to better integrate into our country's system of industry and innovation. I've also heard members' views on building the space economy. Apart from the measures mentioned in my opening remarks, we hope to transform our R&D outcomes. Under the Inner Hong Kong Research Clusters, there is the Hong Kong Space Robotics and Energy Center. The center's research outcomes will be directly used in the Chang'e 8 mission and become an important part of the China-led pilot project to construct an international lunar research station and will contribute to our country's aerospace development. As regards our work on low Earth orbit satellites, we hope the streamlined licensing regime will attract investment, talents, and enterprises that use Hong Kong as a base for operating LEO satellites. Just now, a number of members have spoken about promoting financial innovation. We are working on the licensing regimes for digital asset dealing service and custodian service providers. There is a public consultation on the legislative proposals that will run until the end of August. We will take into account public views and market development and work out details of the licensing regimes. We adhere to the principle of same activity, same risk, same regulations in promoting the healthy, responsible, and sustainable development of the digital asset market in Hong Kong. A few members have spoken about how we should leverage our advantages to build diversified industries. We can leverage our strengths in finance, trade, professional services, culture, tourism, and sports, and to develop industries with potential. In terms of developing the halal market, there are currently different products available in the market. For example, the Hong Kong Monetary Authority signed an MOU with the Saudi Arabian Public Investment Fund to anchor a new investment fund with a target size of $1 billion. This is to help enterprises connected to Hong Kong and the GBA to develop their businesses in Saudi Arabia. We'll continue to tap into the Islamic markets and the areas of finance, trade, and tourism and seize opportunities on all fronts. On professional certification, we will enhance the capacity of relevant government departments to provide quality accreditation and bring in new services. The relevant government departments will make use of the professional services offered by our testing and certification industry to ensure products and services available in the market comply with standards. For example, Chinese medicine and white liquor to safeguard consumers' interests and safety. On developing green industries to achieve a win-win situation for both the economy and the environment, we will make use of the restored landfills as well as funds that support R&D and technology demonstration to help enterprises take forward their green tech projects. The government is helping 2 local green tech companies set up production lines to upcycle local waste materials to produce high-value core materials for electricity-free cooling products and high-value added acoustic metamaterial products. We will encourage and support enterprises to launch green tech projects in Hong Kong. We want to develop Hong Kong into a demonstration base for green technologies, help our country export green technology and products, gain recognition from the international market, and strengthen our competitive edge. We'll also actively expand the green fintech ecosystem. For example, through our funding schemes, we'll promote potential fintech solutions so that they can be widely applied in the local business environment. On culture and creative industries, the government will continue to actively implement the blueprints for arts and culture and creative industries development to improve the ecosystem. We've already announced a reformed hiring policy for the performance venues. The Hong Kong Coliseum will be repositioned to give priority to concerts instead of sports events to promote the concert economy. The government will strategically identify and support Hong Kong's cultural and creative projects with potential, will help Hong Kong's creative works go global and promote their cooperation with mainland cultural and creative brands to capitalize on the opportunities. on the sports industry will ride on the opportunities presented by the Kai Tak Sports Park. The Hong Kong Football Festival 2025, held in the past 2 weeks, witnessed world-class soccer teams play matches at the main stadium in Kai Tak. This did not only create a heated atmosphere in the community, but also attracted tourists from the mainland and other parts of the world to Hong Kong to watch the matches, thereby boosting spending. From November to December this year, Hong Kong, together with Guangdong and Macau, will co-host for the first time the 15th National Games, the 12th National Games for persons with disabilities, and the 9th National Special Olympic Games. It is expected that over 100,000 tourists will be attracted to Hong Kong to watch the competitions, which will directly boost spending on tourism, catering, accommodation, and retail. We will fully capitalize on this national event. We will make use of the event to attract tourists from mainland and overseas to Hong Kong to further enhance the synergy between sports and tourism and the related economic benefits. On education, we will continue to organize international summits and conferences to enhance our status as an international post-secondary education hub. We will promote the Study in Hong Kong brand to attract outstanding students from overseas. We've also rolled out the latest land grant scheme and the loan scheme with a nominal rent. We are granting land to post-secondary institutions to enhance their capacity with an interest-free loan. As for pet economy, we will hold a relevant survey to collect data. The results will show the trend and preference of pet keeping in Hong Kong households. It will help the trade understand the latest trend to provide the relevant products and services. We need the collaboration from the government, the business sector, and the community. I thank members for their very constructive suggestions today. The CEDB and the other bureaus will carefully consider these suggestions. We will continue to ride on the opportunities we have to enhance our competitiveness as well as our global influence and tie in with the strategies of our country. Thank you.
I now call upon Mr. Michael TIEN to move an amendment. President, I move my amendment. I propose a question to you that Mr. Michael TIEN's amendment be passed. Will those in favor please raise their hands? Those against, please raise their hands. The question is agreed by a majority of each of the 2 groups of members present. I declare the amendment passed. Dr. Hoey, Simon Lee, as the previous amendment is passed, you may move your further amendment. President, I move my further amendment. I propose the question to you that Dr. Hoey Simon Lee's further amendment be passed. Will those in favor please raise their hands? Those against, please raise their hands. I think the question is agreed by a majority of each of the 2 groups of members present. I declare the amendment passed. Ms. Maggie Chan, as previous amendments are passed, you may move your further amendment. President, I move my further amendment. I propose the question to you that Ms. Maggie Chan's further amendment be passed. Will those in favor please raise their hands? Those against, please raise their hands. I think the question is agreed by a majority of each of the 2 groups of members present. I declare the amendment passed. Ms. Eunice Yong, you have 1 minute and 9 seconds to reply, then the debate will come to a close. Ms. Eunice Yong. President, I thank 40 members who spoke on my original motion so that we have had an opportunity to discuss new economic growth points in the Council. Members mentioned the base economy or even the marine economy, hydrogen, Chinese medicine, mice, religious, financial innovation, halal industry, concert, film, INT, Web3. I hope that the government will take action. Don't just talk the talk. You need to walk the talk. We have the foundation, and you do need to take the lead to take action. The industry is already working, but then they need the administration to be on the offensive. You need to take action. That's exactly how we can make it happen. I hope that the administration will continue to deepen our collaboration and to leverage on our role in the GBA so that we will be able to scale new heights and explore new economic growth points. I now put the question to you that Ms. Eunice Young's motion as amended by Mr. Michael TIEN, Dr. Hoey, Simon Lee, Ms. Maggie Chan be passed. Will those in favor please raise their hands? Those against, please raise their hands. I think the question is agreed by a majority of each of the two groups of members present. I declare the motion as amended be passed. I now adjourn the council until 11 a.m. on the next meeting date. In the summer break, please work on businesses that you didn't have time to work on. And please give more suggestions to the Chief Executive for policy address consultation. Please recharge your batteries and spend more time with your family.